Welcome to Like a Bomb, a podcast about powerful women from the past and present.
Not fragile like a flower.
Fragile like a bomb. Hello, and welcome to episode 18 of Like a Bomb. I'm Bailey.
I'm Jill, her mom.
Yeah, it's middle of March. It's St. Patrick's Day, actually.
It is St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Hope you're wearing green. I'm currently not at all. I have permanently green tattooed on me, though. I'm always wearing green.
I have a 4-leaf clover tattoo.
I have
same color.
A leaf colored green for Mister because I have a little flower around him.
Is it color? That might not be. I don't remember if that's color, but I do have my dogwoods that have green leaves.
Mm-hmm.
But I also, have holiday shirts for like all holidays. I just need to figure out one for Arbor Day.
I see something with trees and leaves, I guess.
Yes.
I have a button-up shirt that has green and has leaves in the pattern. That would work.
Or I could just dress like a tree.
Yeah?
I think I could do it. I have brown pants for the trunk, green shirt, and then put leaves in my hair.
Okay, I was about to say, without the leaves, you'll just be like your Shaggy.
Yeah. I wore that outfit this year, apparently, and yeah, the kids called me out.
Yeah.
But on the upside, that means they know who Scooby-Doo is.
Yes, they do.
See? There's upsides. Always upsides. I'm glad they have watched Scooby-Doo.
Scooby-Doo is good, and they've also remade new ones, so yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to know what new Scooby-Doo's like.
There's lots of dislike on the new Velma show.
Oh.
I haven't watched any. I know nothing. All I've heard is mostly bad reviews.
On the upside of not paying attention to what's happening in the world right now, I don't know. And the students haven't talked to me about it. Granted, they talked to me about just about everything else. Pretty much anything and everything else. I wore a pair of my Doc Martens Mary Janes Wednesday and Thursday, and they're like platform ones, so like the sole is like huge.
Mm-hmm.
And a student, she was standing next to me, and she's like, "You got taller." I like turned my shoe out. I was like, "It's my shoes." And then so of course yesterday when I was wearing my Converse, she's like, "Your shoes made you shrink." I'm like, "Yep."
I mean, the shoes don't really make you shrink. They just give you height or they don't.
Yes, these definitely took away height. So it's amazing how many students are like, "I'm taller than you," like every single year. "Can I see if I'm taller than you?" And I'm like, I'm not tall. I don't know why this is a challenge for you.
No. And I'm quite a bit taller than you.
Yes, it doesn't take much, which is sad because I've been this height since I was 10.
Yes, because of how, unfortunately, women's bodies work with the timing of their period.
Mine was, yes. Mine, I spurred quickly and stopped.
But I was think about how much taller I would be if my period was a bit later, too.
I know. Well,
I'm already the second tallest woman in our family.
Yeah. Which is, I think Laura's still a little upset that you surpassed her.
And then Molly surpassed me in 6 months, so.
Yeah, well, she's always been tall. Like, she came
Yeah, Molly also had more chance of growing.
Yeah, and, well, percentage-wise, like, you were longer proportionally than she was at birth. Because you were, like, freak long.
Thanks.
Especially for, like, your weight. Because you were, like, 22 and a half inches long. Babies aren't that long.
I don't know. I mean, I have a long torso to the point I cannot wear women's backpacks. Like, backpacking backpacks.
Yeah,
I have to wear a men's large because where it is from, like, my upper back to the base is 21 inches, which means I need a men's large.
Well, also, your father is part of a lack of evolution and has monkey arms. So, it's not just him. Other people have not evolved in the same way because there is a thing called evolution.
Attached earlobes, one of them.
Mine are not.
One of them's more attached looking than the other, or detached. I don't know.
I think mine are detached. I don't remember what your sisters are. I just can't. When I think of her ears, well, There's a lot of thoughts when it comes to your sister's ears.
Pointy.
Elf, 1. 2. I wish they would have given her tubes at some point. Also, when her ear ate her earring.
Yeah, that was not a fun
that.
morning.
That was awful.
I just kept what I was doing because I had to go to school too.
It was awful. But, yeah, I get nervous when I see my earrings are like a little more tight in my ears. I'm like, no.
I got really worried about it with my conch. So the second week I had it, and it has a longer bar for healing.
Yeah.
It was risking eating over. And it was a pretty long bar.
Well, you also had a bead stuck in your ear at once.
Okay, but that was my own actions as a small child. I thought I put the bead in my ear.
No, somebody else did.
I remember distinctly being pinned on the ground to get the bead out of my ear, though.
Oh, I called 911 and everything because the blizzard had started.
I do remember the paramedics trying to get the bead out of my ear, yes. That's like the only memory I have of it is you trying and the paramedics trying as I'm on the floor. They're trying to get it out.
And they couldn't do it because they couldn't do anything internal. And it was technically internal. And so we had to drive to the hospital in blizzard conditions. And since it was blizzard conditions, we were sitting in the waiting room and waiting. And I had tried everything I could think of when we were at home to get it out of your ear. And
Didn't you get it out right before?
Right before we were there, and you had those little bendy hair clip things. And I was like, let's try this. Because I made you hold your head sideways.
I'm sure you did. I don't remember it. The only thing I'm recalling is what I imagine as the story, but I do very distinctly the paramedics and being on the floor of the apartment.
Yes. So then I was like, ooh, let's try it. And I just popped it out and we went home. So.
Who put the bead in my ear?
There were so many kids around at that time. I don't know, but it wasn't you.
Okay, because I thought it was me this longest time. I'm like, why did I put a bead in my ear?
No, you did not do that. I wouldn't think the story was as funny if you had done it.
That's fair.
It was way more funny than it was anything. Well, okay, granted, this is 20-some years removed, but...
Yes. The damage is done.
Yes.
Well long ago.
I will say that out of the two of you, I think that's the only time that y'all got anything stuck anywhere. I mean...
Didn't I swallow coins?
I don't think you did.
I feel like I did.
I mean, were you with your dad that weekend?
No, I'm pretty sure this was still the first apartment.
I don't remember you swallowing change.
Maybe there was someone joking about it, and that's how I remember it.
You were always pretty, you just knew what you weren't supposed to do.
I don't know. I'm just saying, I was young enough that the memories are still, weird.
I don't think so. I mean, I can see your sister have done that, because she put everything in her mouth.
I think it was probably someone joked about it.
Yeah. But your sister put everything in her mouth. I think she still does. Love you, Pip. She also has to touch everything. Literally.
Yeah, no. I do. I have the opposite thing. Apparently I did all the talking for the two of us.
Yes. She's a special little girl. She talks a lot more now, though.
Yes, she does.
So I don't really have any updates. If you're paying attention to the ghost saga in my house... he attacked my closet last night.
Birdie's scared.
Yeah, Birdie, I don't think Birdie's still not over it. I don't know what he did in there. We just heard big bangs, and Birdie was very scared, and then continued to be scared, and he's still a little sketchy. I even talked to him this morning. I was like, did you sleep last night? He just looked sad at me, like, no, Mommy, you left me out of your room. Well, it was apparently happening in my room.
So, he's always been out of your room because you're allergic to them.
Yes. So he was a little sad this morning too. But yeah, so that's the update. I don't think there's been any other major ghost activity different than before. Other than the big bangs in my closet last night. And I live in a house. I don't live in a townhouse. There's nobody banging in my house. I'm the only person here but my cats. And if I know where my cats are, then there's nobody else wandering around. Unless there's people living in the walls.
I don't know. And for those that may see us on YouTube with video, the reason I still have dark in my eyes is because I wore makeup yesterday for a cosplay. I don't do makeup, so I don't have makeup wipes.
Oh, I
I can get at it, but I didn't want to scrub too roughly with soap to get it in my eye.
I think the Dollar Tree has makeup wipes that aren't, like, bad. Also, TJ Maxx and Marshalls have, like...
I'm not going to wear makeup that much. I can wait.
Well, they're like $1 or $2. Like,
I'll find them later.
Sorry.
In the meantime, are you ready for my story?
Yes.
Cool. So, let's see. I don't like the pop-up of the little corner. Anyways, my person I'm covering is Cecilia Payne-Gaposchkin. Cecilia Payne was born May 10th, 1900, and passed away December 7th, 1979. Her biggest achievements is as being a British and American astronomer and astrophysicist. In her 1925 doctoral thesis, she proposed that stars were composed primarily of hydrogen and helium. Her groundbreaking conclusion was initially rejected by leading astrophysicists, including Henry Norris Russell, because it contradicted the science of the time, which held that no significant elemental differences distinguished the Sun and Earth. But independent observations eventually proved that she was correct. So some general overview of some of the awards she's done is with overcoming barriers for women in science. Payne did not receive a degree from Cambridge despite completing her studies. Her work on the cosmic makeup of the universe and the nature of variable stars was foundational to modern astrophysics. She was elected to the Royal Astronomical Society while still a student at Cambridge, and later became the first recipient of the American Astronomical Society's prestigious Annie J. Cannon Award. Her success also opened the door for countless female astronomers, including her Harvard colleague, Helen Sawyer Hogg. And in 1956, she was appointed Harvard's first female professor and female department chair. So, some things in early life, she was born in Buckinghamshire, England, and one of 3 children. Unfortunately, when she was 4, her father died, leaving her mother to raise the family on her own. And her interest in astronomy began after she attended a lecture by Arthur Eddington detailing his 1919 expedition to the island of Principe in the Gulf of Guinea, off the west coast of Africa, to observe and photograph the stars near a solar eclipse as a test of Albert Einstein's general theory of relativity. She said of the lecture, "The result was a complete transformation of my world picture. My world has been so shaken that I experienced something very like a nervous breakdown." Although she completed her studies, she did not receive an official degree because Cambridge did not grant degrees to women until 1948. And before going to Cambridge, she already knew she wanted to study science, and eventually, because of this lecture, studied astronomy and physics because of the groundbreaking realization of this is fascinating, ultimately. Payne realized that her only career option in the UK was to become a teacher, so she looked for grants that would enable her to move to the United States. L.J. Comrie, an astronomy PhD candidate at Cambridge University, introduced her to Harlow Shapley, the director of the Harvard College Observatory. After a lecture in London at the British Astronomical Association, in 1923, Payne moved to the United States to study at Harvard College, enabled by a fellowship established to encourage women to study at the Harvard Observatory. Adelaide Ames had been the first recipient of this fellowship in 1922, with Payne following as the second. Lawrence H. Aller later described Payne as one of the most capable go-getters in Shapley's observatory. So now on to her doctoral thesis. Shapley persuaded Payne to write a doctoral dissertation, and so in 1925, she became the first person to earn a PhD in astronomy from Radcliffe College University, which, if you were listening to one of our earlier shows or episodes, Radcliffe College is pretty much the women's college at Harvard University. Cecilia Payne's thesis title was Stellar Atmospheres, a contribution to the observational study of high temperature and reversing layers of stars. So going more into the science of it, while analyzing glass plates at Harvard College Observatory, Payne made a groundbreaking discovery by accurately relating the spectral class of stars to their actual temperatures using Indian physicist Meghanad Saha's ionization theory. She demonstrated that the great variation in stellar absorption lines was due to differing amounts of ionization at different temperatures, not to varying amounts of elements. Payne found that silicon, carbon, and several common metals seen in the sun's spectrum were present in about the same relative amounts as on Earth, which aligned with the prevailing belief that stars had a similar elemental composition as Earth. However, she also found that helium, and particularly hydrogen, were vastly more abundant in stars, with hydrogen being about 1,000,000 times more prevalent, leading her to conclude that hydrogen was the overwhelming component of stars, making it the most abundant element in the universe. Despite this, as being a woman, and many people don't believe us, when her dissertation was reviewed, Henry Norris Russell, a preeminent astronomer of the day who adhered to the theories of American physicist Henry Rowland, urged her not to assert that the composition of the sun was predominantly hydrogen, because it contradicted the scientific consensus of the time that the element composition of the sun and Earth was similar. Russell, in a 1914 article, had argued that it should be the same. I'm not going to read the whole quote about a man dissing the women's scientific studies. So consequently, Russell described her results as spurious. Although she included all calculations and results, Payne agreed to write in her thesis that her results were almost certainly not real to save her career. Which sucks. It's like, hey, I did all of this, I approved it, here's the data, go independently verify. But 4 years later, Russell realized that Payne had been correct when he derived the same results by different means, effectively demonstrating that hydrogen and helium were the most abundant elements in the Milky Way. Sharing his results in 1929, Russell briefly acknowledged Payne's early work in discovering, and including the mention that the most important previous determination of the abundance of the elements of astrophysical means is that by Miss Payne. Nevertheless, Russell was the one credited for the conclusions she had reached 4 years prior. Nearly 40 years later, after Payne's thesis was published, astronomer Otto Struve described her work as the most brilliant PhD thesis ever written in astronomy. Today's accepted ratios for hydrogen and helium in the Milky Way galaxy are about 74% hydrogen and approximately 24% helium, confirming the results of Payne-Gaposchkin's calculations from 1925. So after earning her doctorate in 1925, Payne remained at Harvard for the entirety of her academic career. Initially, women were barred from becoming professors at Harvard, so she spent years doing less prestigious, low-paid research jobs. Her early work focused on stars of high luminosity to understand the structure of the Milky Way. Later, she surveyed all stars brighter than the 10th magnitude. She then studied variable stars, making over 1.25 million observations with her assistants, which is insane.
Yeah.
This work was later extended to the Magellanic Clouds, adding a further 2 million observations of variable stars. And so this data was used to determine the paths of stellar evolution. She published her conclusions in her second book, The Stars of High Luminosity, published in 1930. And on a tour through Europe in 1933, Payne met Russian-born astrophysicist Sergei Gaposchkin in Germany. She helped him obtain a visa in the United States, where they married in March 1934. Her observations and analysis of variable stars, carried out with Sergei Gaposchkin, laid the basis for all subsequent work on such projects. And she went on to publish other papers and other books, along with an autobiography, which is said that while in school she created an experiment for the efficacy of prayer by dividing her exams in two groups, praying for the success only on one, the other being a control group. And funny enough, she achieved the higher marks on the latter group. Later on, she became an agnostic. In 1931, she did become a United States citizen, so held joint citizenship in both the UK and the US. And once she met her husband and got married, they settled down in Lexington, Massachusetts, a short commute from Harvard. She did add her husband's name to her own, which is why she is known as Cecilia Payne-Gaposchkin, not just Gaposchkin. They had 3 children, and her family were members of the first Unitarian Church in Lexington, where Cecilia taught Sunday school. She was also active with the Quakers. That's funny, but unfortunately, we can't all live forever, and she did die in her home in Cambridge, Massachusetts, on December 7th, 1979, age 79. But shortly before her death, Payne had her autobiography privately printed as The Dryer's Hand. It was later reprinted as Cecilia Payne-Gaposchkin, an autobiography and other recollections. And she published 5 different books, several other significant research papers, not besides her dissertation, and many awards. In fact, there's a volcano on Venus that is named after her.
Oh.
So that cool. Is Cecilia Payne-Gaposchkin.
Oh. I love that she tested the power of prayer.
It is funny, especially in that time where being not of faith is still kind of not as acceptable.
Yeah, this is the first year that I have a student that when she gets stressed about something in class, she does the sign of the cross.
Yeah.
Another kid who prays not to be called on, prays to get the answer, prays to he does it in a he's also a student that I have to power up sometimes when his charger is down and he just doesn't have the energy. So we learned earlier in the year that we can just power him up, and we figured out how to do that. So I have a lot more kids this year that are praying during things. I'm just glad that they feel comfortable doing it. But I will look over and be like, "Did you just do the sign of the cross?" Yes. Are you okay? Yeah, I don't want to be called on. Okay. Or want to make sure they get it right. Or I know yesterday they had a graded assignment, and I had one student just going, and I was like, "Are you praying before you take this?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm praying I remember it." I'm like, "Okay."
Oh, well.
So I do like that she did that because my students are trying it now.
It is, yes. Make an experiment.
Yep.
Have several data points, and that's a valuable experiment.
Yeah, and that's what, almost 100 years ago. That's cute. Well, I didn't know what I wanted to do, so I walked into a friend's classroom yesterday morning, and I said, "Look, I need something, a topic, a person, I don't care what. What do you got?" "Well, you know what you can do?" I'm like, "Oh, okay. Yes, I agree with that theory because I am the same age as you. So yes. So I'm doing premenopause and menopause."
Okay.
So if womanly functions bother you in any way, you may want to bow out now.
Hey, most of our listeners are around your age.
Yes. So
at the moment,
I will say, finally, there is more public society acceptance to the fact this is something that happens, but it happens to all women pretty much. There are some, rare cases depending on health situations, but 50% of humanity goes through this. So,
Same with the taboo of periods as a whole.
Yes.
Just talk about it.
Yes,
it's a normal bodily function.
I was getting a Band-Aid out of my desk and I was like trying to find the big ones. And so I opened the drawer, and that just also happens to be where there's tampons and pads for the students when they need it. He looks at this, why do you got that? And I looked at him, I said, because I'm a woman? Like, what?
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, yeah. And I'm like, also, I have
You're also
students.
dealing with middle schoolers. They're in a very weird
funny
stage
I'm
that's
like,
not fun.
Really? Did you completely forget that I was a female? I mean, I guess you don't think of us as that way, and that's good. But it was hilarious, and that all happened this week. But they don't educate you, so I got really lucky that I actually did get some doctors to tell me some things because I had my own unique situation. But I'm doing perimenopause mainly because menopause is just one point in your life. It is literally like just, okay, you've entered this non-reproductive stage of your life. That's it. Perimenopause is all the yunk that comes up to that. Like that's, and it can be like a decade. I mean, averagely it's 3 to 4 years. So in case you didn't know, because the information is not like really mainstream, sadly, perimenopause, and this is from Mayo Clinic, means around menopause refers to the time during which your body makes the natural transition to menopause, marking the end of your reproductive years. And menopause is the complete end to your menstrual cycle, diagnosed after 12 months without bleeding or spotting, and it normally occurs in your 40s or 50s. The U.S. average age to hit menopause is 51. And when I read that, I went, I'm old. I'm not there yet.
You have me in my age too to help think about it.
Yeah, but I was like, whoa.
I mean, I'm as old as you were when you had Pip.
I know. That's crazy. So the average normal age to start going through perimenopause is in your 40s, sometimes in your 30s. That's not often. Then it lasts an average of 3 to 4 years. Research has shown that a large number of women do not know the signs or symptoms of what to expect, and they feel alone, like they just think they're going crazy, which, by the way, when you start Googling this and you're like, why are women upset about, perimenopause and menopause? Because you're trying to find the articles that say it's because there is no mainstream awareness of this. No, it goes to, oh, women just have mood swings and they're just irritable. And it's like, no. That's not it. And the only commonly known symptom for peri or menopause is the hot flashes. That's the only thing people are like, or you're crazy, I had a friend growing up, well, I'm still friends with her. I know when her mom went through it, it was, of course it was all secret. We weren't allowed to know that anybody was doing anything. She started smoking. Your body goes through huge changes. But there isn't even that much research really into pregnancy and childbirth and what your body goes through and the health risks that are involved in that. So there's tons of symptoms. I'm just going to throw them out there so if you start feeling them, this is when you talk to your doctor.
Yay.
So, of course, menstrual irregularity, which includes any changes to your normal cycle, including lengthening or shortening your flow time. Lengthening is a possibility. Don't think just because it's longer that this is not what's going on. Increase or decrease of estrogen, which, of course, if you didn't know, is the main female hormone. And it's different for every woman, and it seems kind of willy-nilly. I've been through 2 different woman doctors, because gynecologist is harder to say. And both have said if you're going through perimenopause, which is, again, the years-long process, not menopause, that period of time, you don't get hormone replacements because your hormones are everywhere and there's no way to regulate it if blah, blah, blah. Anyhow, low estrogen is more likely to have also caused urinary tract infections and incontinence. If you didn't know what incontinence was, it's where you have the uncontrol of your bladder and you go a little tinkle. So, no, sir.
What's he doing?
They're trying to get my earrings out. I'm busy.
I see Finn.
Yeah. He's sticking his head in my lap now. Oh my goodness. Okay. My lovely children.
You have toddlers.
Yeah.
Finn, what are you doing?
Finny?
He's gonna try and eat them.
Oh, he's turned his butt now. Okay. Of course, hot flashes, which is most commonly reported symptom. You get sleep problems. Part of those sleep problems are from the hot flashes and or night sweats. Because when you get a hot flash, you do sweat sometimes. So, and hot flashes are from like feeling a little warm to you feel like your entire body is on fire. It is very different. I talk about hot flashes a little more later too. Of course, decreased fertility. I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
However, as long as you are having a period, you are still able to get pregnant. Unless you are going through this for other reasons that, like, you had surgery to get things removed, or you've had cancer, you're going through chemo, or any of those things. Loss of bone, so decreasing estrogen loses bone faster than your body can replace the bone and increase the risk of osteoporosis, which is the disease causing fragile bones. This is also part of the reason women shrink. Yes, you see my monster. Yeah, he's funny.
Yes, I see Finn coming towards you.
He's on the chair, about to be bad.
I see Brody.
Oh, Lord. They think I'm busy and then I can't pay attention. Y'all think you're funny.
They want to be internet famous.
Yeah, they can be internet famous later.
We gotta be internet famous before they can be internet famous.
Yeah, I know. That's true. Changes to your blood cholesterol levels, so it decreases in estrogen, can cause increases to bad cholesterol levels and decreases to good cholesterol levels. Both increase the risk for heart disease. And if you are a woman in this age, you're getting a blood work done on a regular basis, and they're watching your cholesterol and yelling at you, change your diet, exercise, da-da-da-da, and you're like, I'm doing all of those things. Oh, but hey, if you knew that and you knew my age, wouldn't you also have maybe thought maybe it was my estrogen levels? But no, it's just I need to stop eating fast food. That I don't do. I need to exercise more. That I do. And I need to blah, blah, blah. It's like,
they're all way too inadequately prepared for women, and then they have a disposition to think so negatively.
Yes, that's why women change doctors or don't
damaged my back. Oh, go do yoga. No.
Yeah, there's
I had a herniated disc and unlevel hips that causes irregular well, it doesn't affect my walking that I know of, but like I have constant pain because of it.
Yeah, your gait also gets, So mood changes, of course, mood swings, irritability, and the increased chance for depression or anxiety. Well, your body's going, I know people don't realize, and I don't think there's really a lot of women out there, especially in today's society, that think that our only purpose is to make babies. But it's a part of your identity, whether you've had children, want children, or any of that. Then when you lose the ability to do that, you feel betrayed by your body, even if you didn't, like, people don't understand that. Like, I was told because of cancer that I could never have more kids, and I always thought that was going to be a possibility. Like, the reason I have cats, Brody and Finn, is because if I had a son, it was going to be Brody Finn. So,
yes.
The mood swings aren't because we're hormonal or lacking of hormones. It's also because we're going through something that is a very life altering, which people don't realize. Like, men can keep having babies. Granted, they don't carry them, but we also can have joint pain and stiffness, muscle pain, headaches, heart palpitations, dry skin, hair, thinning hair, difficulty concentrating, memory problems, brain fog, decreased libido, weight gain or loss. Well, we have the weight gain partly because of our cortisol levels, which we can take medicine for, but most insurances don't cover that, by the way.
Insurance is dumb.
Yeah, well,
that's another story.
So you should see a doctor because, sometimes this is a sign of other things. If the symptoms alter your quality of life, always see a doctor if your quality of life is going down. Bleeding extremely heavy, changing pads every 1 to 2 hours. That's also just something you should have been told at some point, as in womanhood.
They don't tell a lot anymore.
Yeah, that's just one of those things. Like, you should know it's considered hemorrhaging at that point. Bleeding lasts longer than 7 days. Between periods, bleeding or occurring less than 21 days apart. So, diagnosis. There is no, like, you can go to the doctor and take a test, which that makes sense. There's a lot of things you can't go just take a test for, you know. But a doctor may test your hormone levels, but it's not necessarily, and really doesn't always, it doesn't really give you the information. So it's more based on, which in a lot of diagnosis for a lot of things, especially all, like most autoimmune diseases, it's based on like your medical history and who you are. And it's the same thing here. It's based on your age, your menstrual history, like your symptoms and your bodily changes. May test for thyroid function. Thyroid issues affect the hormone levels. And I was so glad I saw this. It made me so happy that I saw this, because at 40 I was in perimenopause because I had a growth on my thyroid, and we didn't find out for years later. And when we did figure it out and found out that it was my thyroid, I had to take medicine to jumpstart my periods every so often. And because if you didn't know, I'll tell you, apparently if your uterus doesn't shed its lining for 3 or more months and you're not in the middle of perimenopause, you can get cancer.
Yes. So
please talk to your doctor if you are not having a period and you are not at a normal stage for perimenopause. The doctors were like, I mean, you're young, and it doesn't usually quite, bless you, doesn't really start quite yet, but having a period for over 3 months, yeah, that's not normal. So you're probably, going through this. And I'm like, but I'm so young, and I just had cancer, and I was like getting over that. Like, what? So watch your thyroid. I don't know if your doctor's testing it.
Just make a laundry list every time you go. Listen.
Just test these things. And the generic test for thyroid isn't very specific. It doesn't zoom in very much. So there are a couple of different tests for thyroids. Have that checked, because one, that's more common than people realize. I know multiple people at my one place of work that had thyroid surgery within the 2 years that I had it. So it can really change your body, really mess it up. And like, if I hadn't found that out and I kept going, was at a very high risk, especially knowing my body, to get cancer, because we didn't know to jumpstart my periods, which they make pills that actually you only have to take a couple times, and generally they kick it in.
It's also supposed to be a lot more painful because your uterine lining is even thicker.
Yes. Yeah, I had to. The pill you only have to take. I don't remember what the medicine was because it was years ago now. But like, I took one pill. If that didn't work, I had to take another one, and that should kick it in, or we were gonna have to like do other things. But anyhow, so treatments. There really aren't any. So they say hormone therapy, so it's basically hormone replacement therapy. But like I said, most doctors are very, very, very unlikely to do that, because your hormones are going up and down willy-nilly. Everybody's different, and so giving you medicine isn't always going to make it better. It could just make it worse. And it's synthetic estrogen, which adds estrogen hormones into the bloodstream in a way of like, to alleviate basically hot flashes is the main thing, and to prevent bone loss. So it can come in pills, patches, sprays, gels, creams, like every possible way you can get hormone replacement therapy. If you still have your uterus, so you haven't had a hysterectomy, they will add a different also hormones within your estrogen, and they may add progesterone. Yes, progesterone. Progesterone is down here differently. It's a different word.
I don't know.
Progesterone, to help prevent endometrial, and now I said it earlier, endometrial cancer, which is the cancer of the lining of your uterus. Because again, You got to shed that sucker.
Endometriosis, that I also can't now say the word.
Yeah, you have to shed it apparently. And they didn't tell us this growing up either. Like I found that out in my 40s, and I was like, "What now?"
They also didn't know as much back then because studies into women was not.
Well, they're still not doing studies into women. Like they're just actually starting in the last year. So they also give antidepressants, some SSRIs to help hot flashes for women that are unable to take estrogen for health reasons, because there are a lot of people who can't take actual hormones. I mean, I know I'm not allowed to take hormones, partly because of migraines, or for women dealing with depression. Antidepressants are also helpful. Gabapentin or Neurontin, which is reduces hot flashes. Women that can't take estrogen who have and also have migraines, they give gabapentin. Bezolintant. Yep, I said that right. That is another, it's a hormone free and it helps with hot flashes, and it blocks, so this seemed backwards to me. It says blocks the brain's, yep, words are hard. Brain's pathway for regulating body temperature. I would think that you wouldn't want to block the pathway to regulate your body temperature if you're getting hot.
The idea is your brain is overcompensating, so it's like, calm down.
Yeah, I thought that was weird. Hormonal birth controls, exercise, healthy diet, plenty of fruits, veggies, and whole grains, sleep, yoga, meditation, and maintaining a healthy weight, which when our cortisol and our everything else is off, we're maintaining a healthy weight. It's not the same way. No matter what we eat or do, we still, it's just sad. Next page. So there's been studies more into why are there not studies than there actually are studies. So scientific research into diseases and mainly is done with animal model, like not humans, because let's be honest, like they're not going to give you some issues and then there's a lot of people who have certain issues but they would rather be treated than go into a study and possibly have a placebo, like so it is more done on animals, and I get it, and more rodents than anything. And just in case you didn't know this, 1 million women in the US a year go through menopause. Yep. So 75% of age-related diseases influenced by menopause in some way, like osteoporosis, like things like that. Like they're age-related diseases that are in some way, result, like the result is because of you're going through this part of life. And there is no research into that. But only 1% of published studies include the consideration of menopause in their experiment setup. And in case you don't understand what that means, when they do a setup, when they say, okay, we're going to be testing women ages 20 to 30 that are 5'7" and live in the Northwest, they're not also saying these candidates in this are also going through menopause or have been in menopause. They're not also including that in their data as part of the statistics that they are collecting. That's what that means. Like, it's not even a thought process. Granted, women 20 to 30 should not be going through menopause, but anyhow.
But there's rare cases.
Yes, there are rare cases but it's not in consideration or even part of the study. And that's 1% of them are including that as a qualifying data. One study found that out of 5,000 women, only 37% of the 79% that seeked medical symptom relief received actual hormone therapy. It is extremely rare for us to get hormone therapy. I was straight up told by 2 different women doctors that said, we get it, you're in perimenopause, and this is before we knew it was my thyroid. There's nothing we can do. Like, cooling sheets, like, I'm like, but I don't feel good, and I want the bleeding. I've had my period for 3.5 months. Like, what? So they won't necessarily do anything because there isn't enough information to know really what to do. But 20% were given antidepressants instead of hormone replacement. And antidepressants are medically known not to be the first step in treatment. Instead of hormone therapy, of these 44 of these women waited more than a year for treatments, and 12% of them waited for more than 5 years for treatment. Not waited like they waited to go to the doctor. No, they were talking to their doctors for 5 years, and they waited.
That's atrocious.
Yeah. Yeah. I was diagnosed with perimenopause at 40. I had thyroid surgery, 2-3 years ago? So, I found out for sure what I had wrong with me because the week you graduated from college, I had that Monday and Tuesday off. I went to school Wednesday, and then the test to see if my nodule was you have to do this radioactive test to see if it was active. You have to go in one day and get the radioactive gunk put in your body. And then you go back the next day and then they see it. And mine's like a volcano shooting all this stuff everywhere. It was kind of cool. But I did that all that week. And so I found out for sure what was wrong with my thyroid the week you graduated from college. So, granted, they knew it was my thyroid for probably 6 months to a year before that. But I started for years, I was going through, hey, can we do something? Because we didn't know it was my thyroid. And they didn't do anything. It's great fun. So hot flashes are found to not necessarily be universal. Much fewer Asian women have hot flashes based on studies. I didn't find what the study was that said that. Of course, triggers for hot flashes are hot temps, hot drinks, spicy food. I mean, think about it. You eat something spicy. When it's real spicy, you get a little sweaty, you get a little runny nose, you can feel your earwax melt. Yes, that is a thing when the food's actually spicy.
Yeah, that's why everything just drains.
Yep. So it's nice if you have a sinus infection, take some peppers. Unless you are so used to hot food that it's not going to affect you, then I'm sorry, man, I got no nothing. A 2002 study found that women taking estrogen, synthetic progesterone, increased risk of breast cancer, heart attack, and stroke, and it decreased. So it decreased at that time people willing to give hormone replacement therapy. So, because that one didn't work, but that's just one of the many things out there. And then the problem is too, again, people do I can't take hormones, real hormones, because of some health issues. But luckily, antidepressants, check, already got it. Gabapentin, check, already got it. I'm good. I'm already on those things. So that's always a helpful thing. So very much there is a stigma about, and granted, it is cultural, and some cultures are even less likely to talk about it than ours. America is a lot freer when it comes to a lot of conversations. Europe is usually a little bit more freer. Most European countries are more. I don't know if it's because they've been around longer than us, and they're
less taboo about a lot of things in the body.
And it might be just because they're more mature than we are. They're older than we are. I don't know. So, if you are my age, you know who Halle Berry is. If you are younger, you should still know who she is because she's been very active, not just in films and things like that, but just in the world. So she found out at 54 that she was in perimenopause, and I'm like, wow, you made it to 54? Perimenopause? Wow. I'd be full blown by then. I'd be done. But so she kind of was upset that nobody ever talked to her about it, and she felt like she needed to know things way before that. She said her friends who were the same age and that were going through it silently, secretly, nobody was talking about it. So she's publicly come out, and she was actually working with a senator, Patty Murphy, to create a menopause research bill. It's actually called, where did I put that? Menopause Research and Equity Act of 2023. When I looked up everything, it is still in the process. In December of 2023, it was referred to a subcommittee on health. Nothing.
It's kind of dead now. I almost guarantee it.
Yes. Right now, I'm sure it's very dead. but that's the last updates I could find. And it's basically asking for more clinical trials. It's asking for more therapies. But Halle Berry actually has a whole network situation. It's called Respin. And it's putting a respin on perimenopause and menopause and all the things that go with it. It has support and info for women regarding perimenopause and menopause. It has health coaches that can help you talk to your doctors. It has like chat room kind of things, and like it's a whole thing. Like there's a bunch of different tabs, there's a bunch of different stuff, and that is a very good resource if you're trying to find out more information, because you're in a certain stage of your life. Because, well, we all hit that at some point.
We can hope we all hit that.
Yeah, and she said, there was a quote that I kind of broke apart, but she said, like, it's not a political issue for her. It's a human rights issue. Like, this is a huge part of our life. Like, think about it. The average woman spends about 1/3 of their life in menopause. So, like, huge part. But if you start at, say, the average age is 51, what if you live to be 100? That's 50% of your life you spend with your so many organs aren't even really using anymore.
Yeah.
So, and I think a lot of women, when they get to a certain age and they're like, just take it all out so I can just be done with it. Because it's a process. And if you get it all out, that's over and done quick. Yeah, you have to go through it and you have to deal with all the hormones in your body regulating and if it regulates and all that other stuff. But it's over and it's done. It's quick. I wasn't brave enough when I had cancer to do that.
There's a lot of just chaos in that regard of healing and other things.
Yeah, well, I just wasn't. I was under 40, though, so.
There's also the adjustment of your organs, because you're removing such a large organ.
Yes, so it all depends on you as a person and your comfortability with certain things. And there is the most latest thing I could find is the U.S. National Institute of Health, which apparently is shorthand is NIH. Okay.
Yes.
It's working with research to create a strategy for menopause research. So it's providing funding for this, and it is the most funding that has been thrown at menopause in like ever. And it's millions of dollars, but millions of dollars paying some doctors, that doesn't go very far.
No.
So it's revisiting, hormone replacement therapy, prolonging ovarian life, so delaying menopause. Like, I don't know that I need to delay it. I don't know that I would want to have kids in my 50s.
Also, that just means more periods. If we could just shorten perimenopause and just done, I think that would be better.
Yeah, I think just
without removing the whole organ.
I'd much rather not go through years of perimenopause. I mean, I don't know. I know my medical history. I don't know that menopause is going to go well for me. Like, all of a sudden, my body's going to go in complete shock when it's, like, completely done. But that's because my body doesn't work like it's supposed to. That's just me personally. But I was like, I know I have people that I went to high school with. They're just had kids and stuff like that. And I'm 48 years old. I have a 22 and a 25-year-old. And yes, I am really bummed that I found out before 40 years old I could never have kids, because I thought that was still a possibility. But I am too tired and old to be having kids right now. Like, what? No.
Yeah, at least you have toddlers that can, be left on their own.
I mean, yeah, I guess. I don't know what they're doing right now.
Trying to eat your earrings, apparently, wherever they were.
Yeah, they're a mess. But so in the increase in healthcare professionals getting certified lately in the U.S. between 2022 and 2024, and this is in an article from like January of 2025, 5 times more people have applied to the Menopause Society for certification exam. So there is a significant jump in healthcare providers like wanting to learn more and be able to help their patients, but it's still, there aren't funding agencies that are putting money toward it. So then there is no research to be done, because for some sad reason, people took it very seriously when it came to health research for mankind, and they completely forgot that it was like people kind.
Well, there's also the other political aspect, which coincidentally I'm wearing my Protect Trans People shirt.
Oh, nice.
Because it's still considered HRT and gender conforming care, so it's not going to get as much funding with our very strongly Republican government because they're like, hormones! It's for trans people. It's for cis people too.
Yeah, well,
it's important.
That's some of the things I saw come up, and it's like people are ignoring that it's also for cis people, and that's literally how it was written. And
yes. It's like for everyone. Hormones are critical. Bodies don't work normally. We're trying to have health so we can live longer, healthily and happily.
And if you don't know what cis people are, it's people that identify with the gender in which they were given at birth, right?
Yeah, so you and I are AFAB, assigned female at birth.
Yes.
So doctors went, you have female sex organs. You are a woman. Okay, you identify as a woman, so sex and gender match.
Yes, cis.
So you're cisgendered.
Yes.
Transgender that's not aligned.
Yeah, that's what I thought about. Because I was like,
I know, but it's just breaking it down for others that don't understand as much.
And then, like, also, here's a crazy thing. Even when I gave birth, and again, my kids are 22 and 25. Yes, it's been a while since I gave birth. It really has. But when I gave birth, this was still a practice of if your children were born with hermaphroditic bodies.
If we were intersex.
Yes. I forgot people don't know what that is. It's not a mainstream word anymore.
Intersex is still pretty mainstream enough.
No, hermaphrodites. I thought that was. Yeah. I always assumed that was mainstream because it was very mainstream when I was growing up for one reason.
No, it's intersex now because genitalia is a spectrum, much just like gender and everything else.
Yeah, well, they would, doctors without even letting the family know would pick the dominant and would do surgery without telling the family. The family would never know unless tests were done further in the future. And some of those doctors made the wrong decision. So that was...
And sometimes you can still have the correct decision, but you're still like XXY or like
your hormones don't match.
You have different chromosomes don't match the stereotypical XY or XX. Yes. But you're still like a cisgendered person.
Yes, there is a lot of issues that went with that. And I remember going, no, I don't. They better not make that decision. That baby better be put on my belly because I better be able to. No, they're not taking my child. And they put Piper on my belly for a second, and they had to rush her off because she was worse off than you were with the cord. And I was like, no. What are they doing to my child? Because I'm like, no. You have to let the person decide those things. But also, like, some women can't even carry boys because the chromosomes don't match, and your body already knows it's a parasite, and they're like, this is a scarier parasite. You must die, and those things.
Yeah, bodies are weird, and humans have some of the most invasive pregnancies to any mammals.
Yeah, they just feed off you and try and kill you. Like, you tried to kill me.
Yeah, I was a parasite, essentially.
Yeah, your sister waited till the end to almost kill me. So, at least you picked your own times to do it. But basically... women aren't angry because they're going through hormonal changes. I mean, we are, but mainly because there's no information and no research, and we're alone, and there's nothing we can do, but men get money thrown at them for a little blue pill, and there's commercials everywhere. So
the military pays so much for those stupid pills.
Yeah, well, if we want equality, we want all people to have access to proper medical care. All people. Yep. But that's okay. I went through Perry for almost 5 years. I'm going back in it now because,
at that age.
I'm at that age. That or my thyroid's messed up again, but I'm only half of it, so hopefully it's fine.
Yeah, I don't know. All I know is periods are weird. Bodies are weird.
Yeah. Womanhood, there's so many things.
So many things.
So many things.
And it just makes it worse because we're not well studied.
No, we're not. And it's sad because there's so many magical things. Like carrying a child is magical. It's terrifying. And some things it's just gross, but it's magical.
Bodily functions tend to be gross.
Yeah, but there's like a person that's just, you're growing it, you know? And they come out and they become like a whole human being. And then they talk and you're just like, stop.
Thanks.
No, you talked from the moment you came out. Like, you didn't stop.
Uh-huh.
You were talking and standing and trying to run. And then your sister came out and she's just like, hold me. Thanks, Mommy.
Well, I've never been one to like physical touch. I remember Grammy telling me stories of having to pin me down to cuddle me.
Yeah, you were never... I mean, you would come snuggle with me, like, and things like that. And you would snuggle with people, but when you were a baby, like, you'd rather be standing. Like, even we're talking, like, 2 months old. You want to, like, hold yourself up. Your sister loved to be snuggled and snuggled and snuggled. She just didn't like to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still tired from her being born. But that's all I got.
Yeah.
Happy St. Patrick's Day. May the luck of the Irish.
Huh?
I said, may the luck of the Irish.
Oh, yes. Pinch, pinch.
Yeah, I'm wearing green.
I'm wearing green and tattoo ink.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll wear green too, because I own a lot of green, actually. But, you got anything else?
Nope.
Go do something extraordinary.